All right, everybody. Thanks for coming to Get Hired in Tech. Spending your Monday with that's right. I always keep that open and then get blinded by it every single time. But thanks for coming. Hopefully you enjoyed some of that weather this weekend. It was incredible. So I wanted to introduce Michael de los Reyes to you guys. Met him a few years ago when we were both at Farmers. He recruited me to go getting some intern stuff over there, and so we've kept up. He's with Jobvite now, and we'll let him kind of give his background a little bit. Just to let you guys know, we are YouTube. If any of you have been following some of the stuff we're doing, YouTube decided to bump not only up to 100 to do a live stream, but they bumped it up to 1,000, so you can live stream with YouTube from your computer, from a few things, but to do it mobily, you have to have 1,000 subscribers. So for those of you that subscribe to the channel, awesome, thanks. I mean, we'll keep pushing to 1,000 right now. We're at 105, and so I keep getting, so it's a slow process, you know, but I'm still gonna upload. It just takes a bit longer. Just can't live stream for right now. With that said, we've got I've booked out, I've got 3 new presenters towards the end of the summer, so I think we're going to be booked out for this group through August now. So we're completely lined up through the summer schedule's set, so make sure you kind of keep an eye out. Like I said, I've got 3 more coming that I met the other day that want to present. All in the tech space. We're looking at some more interactive stuff probably in the end of August. If you like to see, if you know what I'm talking about with the interactive series, we started a interactive series a few months ago. For LinkedIn, we did an interactive LinkedIn presentation for that, basically showing you how to create a profile where recruiters like myself and Michael will find you and see you, and so you can be out in the world. That is on our YouTube channel on TC Anchor Consulting, if you want to look that up. And then we also just recently did a live interactive interview. And that was pretty cool, with a student from Washington State University. That is on that channel as well. That kind of blew up. And that's being spread all throughout the country, which is pretty cool stuff, It's kind of the first of its kind. We did a live whiteboard technical interview. It was fun. And so I'm getting a lot of remarks and comments about how they want to see more. So I'm looking at ideas to do another interactive presentation of what you guys want to see as the job seeker, and let me know what that looks like. So if you have ideas of things you want to see in that interactive space, something real time that you're like, hey, it'd be really nice how to do that, it'd be really cool to watch somebody else do it, not myself, let me know and I will go find somebody. So with that said, I'm going to let Michael take the show and get going on it. So thanks, Michael.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Well, I always like to be a little interactive in the beginning, so if I could, I would love for everyone to kind of scrunch together, because I want to take a selfie with everyone. So hopefully that's okay. So, yes, absolutely. So we're going to flip it around here. So, all right, everyone, kind of, and you guys can have fun with this, all right? I want like some hands and all that. So, all right, everyone ready? Oh, hopefully. All right. Say cheese. Take a few. All right. Awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. So as Max said, my name is Michael de los Reyes. I work with a company called Jobvite. I'm going to be coming at you guys from a little bit of a different perspective than probably a lot of your other speakers, and that's because the company that I work with, we are a vendor to talent acquisition teams. So you may see us when you are going to career websites, when you're applying for positions, and talent acquisition teams will also use our software as a way to be able to build talent pools. And so we'll kind of talk a little bit about what Jobvite does. We'll talk a little bit about the state of recruiting, and then also some ways that you guys can get noticed, because that's really my specialty is working with talent acquisition teams and building talent pools. So just introductions real quick. As I mentioned, state of recruiting, talent acquisition teams, trends that we've seen for 2018. I like to keep it interactive as well, so at any point in time, feel free to raise your hand, ask questions. Obviously, we'll have time at the end of it for that as well. And then my favorite quote, this is a true right now, is the war for talent is over. You guys have definitely won. It's amazing what we see in terms of you guys really being in the driver's seat for positions, especially in the tech industry as well. I mean, it's a very, very competitive market, and there's a lot of great opportunities right now. So a little bit about myself. So I'm a senior professional services consultant with Jobvite. Joined them a little over 2 years ago. And what's so interesting is that when I joined the Jobvite team, they were actually a vendor of mine when I was a recruiting manager. So I got to know the system really well, was one of the few super users of the product, specifically on the CRM side. And so really kind of was able to build a talent pool and manage that talent pool over time. 7 years of recruiting experience, marketing, management, strategy. So it's definitely was a good pair when I decided to join the Jobvite team. And the best thing about what I do is that I get to work with global teams, talent acquisition teams, all different industries, all different sizes. I mean, you name it, it's pretty cool to see the trends. And so a lot of things that I'm talking about now, it isn't just necessarily locally, it's things that we're seeing in manufacturing, that we're seeing in healthcare, that we're seeing in IT. It doesn't matter if it's a company that is 20 people or if it's a company that is 10,000 people. We see trends with every single one of those. And then my specialist is really building pipelines, and then also from a social media perspective, how you can get out there, how you can get noticed, how talent acquisition teams can also promote their positions. And so that's where it pairs really well, because not only am I helping them get their positions out there in front of the right people, but also from a job seeker perspective, you want to be able to know how to go out there and fish and find those positions, how to network with them, and really how to get yourself noticed as you go along through that process. And I am a father and a husband. I've got 2 beautiful little girls. I have a brand new 3-month-old baby that was just born as well. And so there's our family. And actually it's so funny because my dog right there, Benny, the golden doodle, it's his birthday today. He's 4 years old. So he was very excited when he woke up and he found a bunch of stuff in his bed. Feel free, follow me on social media. So Twitter and LinkedIn. Anyone have an iPhone here? Do you guys think QR codes were dead? I thought they were dead. Yeah, you're starting to see them pop up more and more and more. So if you can, anyone that has an iPhone, feel free to open your camera. You can come up here. All the recent update about a year ago, well, not even a year ago, iPhone's made an update that allows you to just open up your camera, zoom in, and point at the QR code. It will then ask you to open in Safari. And then if you have Twitter, if you have LinkedIn, it'll automatically open it up, and then you can go ahead and follow me. So you'll start to see this a lot more in different types of recruiting material. So you're starting to see more QR codes at events. You're starting to see more QR codes on the back of business cards when you go into different locations as well. And the nice thing about all of these QR codes is that they're starting to lead them to talent communities as well, specific jobs, stuff of that nature. So feel free to go ahead and follow me on social media as well. I'm connected with obviously different TA specialists, sourcers, managers, directors, VPs across the globe. So anytime I can help connect someone if they see a position, feel free to reach out to me. I'm also sharing those positions a lot of times as well. So if you happen to see something different, you can reach out to me and I can also help connect you with the right person in that regard as well. I'm also a published author on ERIE, Recruiting Intelligence as well. I had an opportunity to be able to talk to them a little bit about building talent pipelines. And also some other members of my team as well. So like my boss, Andrew Boulet, he's the director of professional services. He is a regular blogger on SHRM, ERIE, goes around, speaks at different events and stuff like that. So I've got a lot of great resources and team members that I work with to be able to also share additional content as well. So a little bit about my role. So my role is to be a CRM Sherpa. So as I mentioned, I work with different talent acquisition teams, and I teach them how to build a pipeline in fish. What we see right now is that passive talent is one of the best areas of job sources and candidates. And so I really teach those individuals how to take the previous applicants and to be able to meet with new people, to be able to feed them into their pipeline, and how to stay engaged with them, okay? And so why that's important from a job seeker perspective is because how many of you have ever applied for a position and then never heard anything back? Everyone, right? Okay, how many of you have applied for a position and then maybe had a conversation with a recruiter and then never heard anything after that? Okay, and it went well, right? They're like, hey, you're a great candidate. We would love to be able to, bring you in. And it's possible that maybe they were interviewing 10 different people. They had, out of those 10, they had 7 really good qualified candidates, but they're in the unfortunate position of, guess what? You can only hire one person, right? Okay? So then what happens to those remaining 6 afterwards? What do they do with them? How do they go back and engage them? How do they stay in contact with them, right? That's what I teach them to do, okay? And there's definitely things that you guys can do on your end also to continue to be noticed so you don't fall into that black hole of recruiting. Okay? So that's where I come with a very different, unique experience because I teach them how to do that. But then I also work with them on strategies as well. So they come to me and they say, hey, Michael, we want to implement a diversity program. We want to implement a women in tech position program. Maybe they want to start a, stay-at-home mother program as well. And I've worked with some companies that have done these things. It's really cool stuff. Okay, we'll walk through their strategies of how to really roll this out over a 30, 60-day, year-long transformation to really change their recruiting initiatives as well and be able to get in front of more people like you as well that fit for those positions. Here's an example of some of the companies that I worked with. So you'll see all different industries. Some of these you may look very familiar, some of them may be smaller. These are companies anywhere from 20 people up to 10,000 people. Banfield Pet Hospitals, that might look familiar right here, located over there in Camas. Samtech, Trek Bikes, Mercy Health, Palo Alto Networks, obviously Farmers Insurance, Freedom Financial. And some of these are also, top places to work. Freedom Financial, they are a top place to work in Arizona. But what's interesting about all of these companies that I work with is that they also all tend to have remote positions as well. I'm a remote employee, okay? And I know that when I first started my job search, it was very different. I'd never worked remotely. I had been an independent sales rep before, 1099, so kind of remote, but I had never been an actual W-2 remote employee. And it was really different to go out there and find, okay, well, how do I seek out these positions? What am I gonna do? What are they looking for? How can you get noticed? Those types of things. How can you stay engaged with your team members as well? So it's definitely been a lot of fun, but as I mentioned, all these companies, I see trends across all of them. I see consistencies. And they're always asking me, like, Michael, hey, how can we find this type of talent? What are the things we can do? Some of it's in your resumes, some of it's what you guys do in social media, some of it's who you're actually connecting with and how you're interacting with them as you go through that process. So who's Jobvite? Has anyone ever heard of Jobvite? We got one person that's heard of Jobvite, all right. You may see some of this as you go on. So Jobvite, we were the first to have the continuous engagement platform. So we really brought social media sharing of jobs to market. Okay? So we were the first ones where a company could go in, they can have their employees start to share and post their positions on social media. So that was really our first thing. We are an industry leader for talent acquisition teams as well. So Forrester's, IDC, all of that, we are a leader in our industry. We've actually just gone through a huge transformation in our company where we were just Jobvite, and then the last year we actually have a new majority owner called K1 Investments, and we have since bought 5 other companies in other different areas. So you're going to really start to see that Jobvite platform. And you guys are going to start engaging with some of those as well when you start applying for positions. Any of those companies that I had listed up there, that's just obviously a very small sample size of some of the companies we work with, but then you start applying for positions and working through that process, you're going to start to notice that. And then also innovation is our DNA. So we were the first to deliver, as I mentioned, social recruiting, native video, interviewing, advanced recruiting software, analytics, AI, all those different types of things as well. So these are some of the products that we have. So Jobvite Hire, Engage, Onboard, Brand, Video, and Mobile Hire Team App. Jobvite Engage, that is the product that I specifically work with. So that's our recruitment marketing software, okay? But it does cross all these different brands. So when you go to a career website, for example, at Trek Bikes, in that URL, you're gonna see jobs.jobvite.com. Right there, it's gonna look pretty familiar. When you are applying for a position, you may see down in the bottom corner, powered by Jobvite. When you receive a text message, it may be coming from Jobvite Text Canvas. If you have a customer that uses our video interviewing tool, when you apply for a position, they may send you a link that says, hey, go ahead and fill out the short little video interviewing role. Those are all of our products. So we are that support mechanism for the talent acquisition teams as they're going through that. So state of recruiting, kind of interesting. So last year, and this is where I think Jobvite's really interesting, is because we have all that back-end analytics. We know all the different applications that are coming in. We know sources. We know hires because of how we're able to track throughout the entire process. We're able to see what the average time to fill is. We also see where the best talent also likes to fill out their applications. So quick question. If you were to go fill out an application, what would you consider the average length of time that you would want to spend filling it out?
So the job application?
The job application.
The word in 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. Anyone else? 5 minutes? Anyone else? $1. So, you know what's interesting? Top talent, they don't want to spend more than a minute. That's the average length for an application. Okay? Anything over that, we see a huge drop off. Okay? So what we're starting to see is more and more companies starting to go to more simplified applications. Okay? They're looking for name, resume, stuff like that. So your resumes and the things that you're putting in there become even more important and how to be able to stand out. And then when they need more additional information, then they'll start going back and then they'll find more. So it's really interesting. So that's really what they're looking for. We see a huge drop off after that 1 minute. And so there's certain things where you're starting to see talent communities and those types of things become a lot more important because they're a much more simplified process to be able to get in the pipeline. So last year we saw that there was 1 million jobs filled, 70 million job seekers, 50,000 plus recruiters, and 10 million applications. Okay? There's a lot of applications out there. Okay? One tip that I can definitely give you guys when you guys are out there applying for positions and you're looking at different companies, don't apply for every position that you think you would want to have. Okay? Pick one or two, typically just one, and apply for that position. Connect with the recruiter, go through that process. And that's because on our side, when we go into a candidate profile, we can see every single application that you have applied for. Okay? We can see the status of every single one of those applications. And when we see that you have 5 different applications in there, it makes it hard for us to delineate, well, okay, what are you really interested in? Where are you really a good fit? You may also have multiple recruiters that are working those positions as well. Okay? So that's one reason why we see so many applications come in. So be aware of the applications that you are filling out and how many as you go through that. We also see right now that we're in the age of the Hyperhopper. You know, you go back 30, 40 years ago, it used to be, hey, we would go work for a company and we wanted to be with them until retirement. Right? That was the plan. Now that's not the case. You know, we're starting to see more of a change from position to position. And what's interesting is that average person, job seeker right now, is in a position for 1 to 3 years. That's what we're saying. And so what's happening because of this, and there's a couple of reasons why, okay, you're seeing this. One, job market's competitive, all right? There's a lot of good positions, you know, tech, okay, a lot of contracts, a lot of opportunities. You know, companies are going for the same types of people. And so you're there. I mean, you know, in my space, you know, we were a late stage startup. I see it in the startup industry a lot. You know, you have someone that comes in ground level, they start out on the IT side, and then, you know, they're in it for 3 years, they get their pre-IPO and their vesting, and then they're on to the next because they want to see if that one makes it, okay? And so what we're finding is that passive talent. You know, as you're in that position, more and more people are open to other opportunities. Okay? But it's making it difficult for a lot of companies because they have to plan for the future as well. So this is why building a talent pipeline is so critical for them, to be able to stay in with that talent. So, you know, when I say, you know, being part of a talent community and engaging with a recruiter, you know, Max, for example, when I first met with Max, maybe Max wasn't ready to make a change, okay? But after a year, 2 years, there could be some sort of divide or something that created disruption that now he's ready to make a change to another organization. Could be maybe you hit the glass ceiling, maybe your manager's doing a great job, and you don't necessarily want to make that move. And then when you get ready to actually make that move, okay, well, there's nowhere for you to go. So you have to start looking out from outside of that industry. So we're starting to see this trend of being a hyperhopper and staying in positions longer. And so it makes it difficult for talent acquisition teams too to be able to say, all right, well, why is this person changing jobs every 3 years? You know, is it something that's culture? Is it, you know, job position? Is it, you know, they took it because they needed it, whatever they need may be. So we have to be able to read between those lines and be able to say, okay, why is this person a good fit? But it's also important for you guys to be able to say, hey, these are why, you know, I've made these changes, why I work with these different companies, why I want to, you know, what my long-term goal really is to be able to find that fit. This is one of my favorite slides. 82% of all the current workforce is open to a new opportunity. So not only are you in competition with people that are searching for jobs, you're also in competition with almost every single person you work with. They're all open to new opportunities. Now, they're typically not going to make a change until another opportunity presents itself that they feel is better than their current one. It wasn't until about 2 years ago that we started to see that the number one reason of why someone was willing to make a change was actually money again. Hadn't been that for almost a decade. Because we've got stability, obviously we've gone through a lot of disruption in the financial market, and so that wasn't the number one reason. But now we've seen that trend start because it is a competitive market. So now people are looking because they want to be able to start bumping up their income, and so this is where passive talent is definitely a competition as well. Now the rules of changing, they've definitely changed. You guys are in control. That's a big part of it. We see more people that are turning down positions simply because of fit, culture, and then also because income isn't where it needs to be as well. Okay? And so that's putting a lot of strain on talent acquisition teams. There's obviously some other variables in that as well. We started to see the degrees and stuff like that was a really big part of it, but you're even starting to see that. So we're starting to find a lot of talent acquisition teams, and one of the questions I always ask is that when you're having a conversation with someone and you start looking at a job rec, okay? Typically when a talent acquisition teams post a job rec, that job rec was written even years ago. Okay? It's a very standardized form, and it doesn't really differentiate, okay, from their perspective. What are the must-haves? What are the nice to haves? So a lot of times when you're looking at a position, you may feel, oh, you're overqualified or not qualified enough, but it's just because they follow that standard template. Okay? So being able to ask those questions, all right, what are the things that you're really looking for out of your next hire? Out of this job requisition, what are your must-haves? What are your nice-to-haves? So then that way you can have those conversations. But it also helps you in the interview process as well, because now you know really where to focus. So when you do have those callbacks, asking that question, out of those different things that we've seen when I was applying, what are the nice-to-haves? What are the must-haves? So now they can really put yourself in a position to win. Anyone can be found by anyone. So how many of you feel that you guys have a professional profile brand? How many of you are on LinkedIn? How many of you are on Twitter? How many of you are on Facebook? Guess what? Every single one of you have your own brand. Have you taken the time to look at your own brand? What does your brand say about you as a job seeker? Okay? It doesn't take much, So, and the thing is, you can be found by anyone. Okay? Anyone can find you on LinkedIn. Anyone can see what your professional brand is. So take some time. Take a look at what your brand really says about you. What are you really presenting out there? My profile, when you look at who I am, you can take that kind of about me section, and you guys can copy that and use it for something else. Just plug in your personal information. Okay? But really, I want to make sure that it's clear, decisive. It says what I want it to say. It tells you, who it is, what I do, what I'm looking for, and really where I fit within an organization. But every single one of you have your own brand. Now, what's interesting too, from our side, on the Jobvite side and the CRM side, is that when we go to look at a candidate profile, okay, or a contact profile, because candidate's someone who's applied, contact someone who we consider a passive talent that we want to engage with. When we pull up that resume and click on it, it automatically populates all of your guys' social media profiles. It's searching your name, it's searching that information. So they see it. So take some time, take a look at your brand. Keep in mind that it's not just you doing research on a company, okay? They're doing research on you as well from a social media perspective. So pay attention to what your brand is. There's looming talent crunch. We see fluid work arrangements, and speed is the new currency. It's for a lot of talent acquisition teams, time's money. They don't want to have a long drawn out process. They're all looking to reduce their time to fill. And what's interesting is that there's a lot of organizations that they're in that reactionary state of recruiting. And so they're in that position. They have a hiring manager that comes to them, says, hey, I have this position that I want to hire for, and then they're in the post and pray method. Okay? They're going to take that position, they're going to post it on a job board, or put it on LinkedIn, and they're in that kind of that waiting stage, okay? Waiting for people to come to them and select the positions. And you're seeing this shift where you're really starting to see them go into more of a proactive state of recruiting, where they want to be able to go in, mine their current talent pools, look at the people that they've been engaging with, know who is ready to make a move, what their interests are, where their strengths are, and those types of things. And so this is where your conversations and things to look for in companies is also going to help out as well as you go through it. A lot of it's through keywords and job categories and stuff like that. We're also seeing that candidates are rejecting companies with outdated systems and practices. Okay? This goes back to how long does an application take and drop off. Okay? Outdated companies, they're going to abandon those complex applications. I'll put it this way. I don't have time to sit down and fill out a 10-minute application. Okay? Nor do I want to. Okay? If it's this difficult to fill it out an application for a company, it's someone that I really want to work with. Because what's going to happen when I actually get into that organization? Okay? But something to keep in mind and look for as you are filling out those applications. You know? As you're having those conversations. That experience is on social media. So, interesting stat. We see that you are 10 times more likely to apply for a position with a company that you have had an interaction with on social media. Whether it be you're a customer of them, whether or not you're following them on their career sites, stuff like that. So keep that in mind. You know, take a look at the companies that you're interested in, who you've interacted with. You know, those are going to also be individuals and companies that you'll typically be more likely to work with as well. And then 85% won't consider working for your company after a bad experience. So one of my favorite and most underutilized talent pipeline strategies, and this is something that I encourage every single one of you to always ask whenever you're having a conversation with a recruiter, is ask them about their silver medalist program. Ask them about their boomerang program, if this is a company that you've worked with. Okay? So a silver medalist is going to be that candidate that applies for a position that you really like, but they don't get the position. Okay? So asking them hey, is there anything I can do? You know, do I need to sign up for a talent community? You know, can you keep me up to date on future positions? Have those conversations, okay? Silver medalists, when I teach talent acquisition teams, those should always be your go-to place for sourcing. Because every single one of those candidates that you've interviewed, you know you like them. They're vetted. There's someone that you feel is going to be qualified for those positions. So stay in contact with those recruiters. Be that silver medalist for them so that you're always first of mind when it comes. Because I tell you, a hiring manager is always going to respect a recruiter that when they come to you and they say, all right, hey, you know what, Max, I've got this position, I got to open up, you know, do you happen to have any candidates? Well, most recruiters are going to be like, well, no, I don't. I'm going to put your job rack and we're going to start getting people in here. But hiring manager is going to be much more receptive to the recruiter that says, you know what, actually, I've got 10 people that we've interviewed previously that we all liked that were great candidates. Here's their name and number. Which one of them would you like me to call? Or what they'll do is they'll go to the hiring manager and say, you know what, hey Max, let's take a look at your LinkedIn. Let's have you go through that and see who you might be connected with that you feel might be a good fit that we could also reach out to directly. Okay? So ask about those silver medalist questions, connect with those recruiters as you're hiring positions on LinkedIn. You know, seek out the hiring managers in those positions. Okay? Connect with them. You know, start to have those conversations with them as well so you can stay in front of them. Today's companies, they're trying to shift to that strategic candidates engagement. So, you know, they really want the experience for you to be as positive as possible. And it doesn't just start with just the applying for the position. It really starts at the top of the funnel. You know, sign up for job alerts, starting to join the talent community, looking at those positions as they come available as well. And then being able to work through that process. And then, you know, continue on until eventually you're hired as well. And a lot of these companies are doing that so they don't get left behind as well, because we're seeing the companies, the ones that are those top ones to work for, they're doing this, okay? You know, they want to be that magnet for talent, okay? And so you're starting to see more of that kind of live type of feeds as well, hot jobs. You know, I love one of the Rackspace, one of the cloud companies that I work with. They're based out of San Antonio. We were working with the recruiters on having them spotlight weekly jobs. So they take their 5 top jobs that they're recruiting for, do a little raw video, maybe interview the hiring manager and say, hey, you know, kind of getting past that wreck of where the nice to haves and must haves, to where they can be like, hey, here's my 5 top jobs that I have this week, here's the different things, here's what we're really looking for out of a candidate. So now that way, not only are you seeing real people that you're working with, okay, which for me, it's always a lot better than just looking at a position, because that's a big worry for me as a candidate. You know, what's the team like? What's the culture like? You know, how am I going to fit in? You know, when you feel like you can fit in, it's always going to be a lot easier to be more productive as well. So looking for those types of recruiters that are doing those types of things as well will definitely help you out. So, you know, we've seen this shift, as I mentioned, to candidate engagement, going from administrator-centric to a candidate-centric. So we're trying to get teams out of this post and pray, just taking resumes, but really saying, all right, first time I meet with someone at an event, I'm going to take them through that entire process. I'm going to keep them engaged as we continue on. We don't want it just to be kind of that one and done and then fall into the black hole. It's always from that first look to first day, and that first day on the job that we want to have that complete experience with as well. And the top teams are really doing this. So we've seen, from a social media perspective, Schneider Electric that we work with, they saw a 170% increase on social hires, okay? Because they got their team out there, they're utilizing their employees to be marketers for their organization. Trek Bikes, they made over 800 hires in 1 year with 2 recruiters, okay? So, it's a high talent, it's a lot of applications that are coming in. You always want to be just top of mind. And then Ingram Micro, they've seen a 40% increase in applications as well. Global company, obviously, a lot of different positions that they're hiring for as well. All of these people, I've worked with every single one of them as well. So if you ever see any positions with any of those companies on social media, feel free to reach out to me. Let me know. I can always put in a good word for you. So top talent acquisition trends for 2018. So good candidate, it's hard to find. Pipelines, that is definitely the biggest thing. And what we're finding is that the pipeline, when we refer to pipeline, that's taking a candidate and identifying, okay, these are the top positions that they're interested in, this is the silver medalist, they're interested in these top job categories. We're engaging them on a regular basis, whether it be newsletters, so on and so forth, okay? That's where 50% of those hires are coming from. And they're better quality hires. So when you go to a company's page, you might see, and if you don't look for it, I would highly encourage you to start seeking it out. Look for, it says sign up for Jobvite, join our talent community, those types of things. Do that in addition to your application, because what that does is that helps give them an idea of what positions that you are interested in. So that way, when I go back into my applicant tracking system, and I want to do a keyword search for software engineer or a specific certification, and I search for a tag of a job category, you're going to be one of those search results that will populate. Okay? So that's why we encourage you to sign up for those. And this also goes hand in hand with not applying for every single position that you see with the company, right? So that's why you want to be able to sign up for those as well. So Schneider Electric, as I mentioned, we saw a huge increase in their direct sourcing hires, okay? And it was because they were directing team members and people to start signing up for those job categories of interest, okay? We knew what they were now interested in, so it made it a lot easier to be able to engage those specific talents to be able to find out whether or not it was the right time. So that's where you guys can help out. And they've also started seeing the best hires. This was one of their hiring managers, and they said, hey, I'm now seeing the best hires that we've seen in 20 years. Because they were vetted, there were people that knew jobs of interest, we knew job categories, we knew specifically what they were looking for and what was most of interest to you and where you would really fit within that organization as well. I'm going to go ahead and skip over the Gen Z part. So something I always look for, when you are out at career fairs as well, a couple things that you can really ask about as well. Typical process, with a lot of companies, they just rely on that traffic, they take your resume, and then they're kind of off from there, okay? Not really having the best of experience. They see fewer candidates, less opportunities to impress. It's also very labor intensive. So when you're there, I would ask that question: do you have a talent community that I can join? Do you guys Jobworks, those types of things? Do you share your positions on social media? Those types of things. And that way you can continue to stay in front of them after the event as well. And so that's what we teach them, keeping everyone engaged year round. So another question you can ask: do you happen to have a recruiting newsletter that you send out? How can I get on that email distribution list as well, so that I can stay top of mind with that talent? And then also mobile devices. A lot of companies now, their sites are going to be mobile enhanced. We see a huge increase of applications coming directly from mobile, which is also another reason why most top applicants will only take 60 seconds or less to be able to apply for a position. And they want to make it as simple as possible as you go through that process. And you're starting to see more use of texting as well. So you're starting to see a lot of keyword searches, you're starting to see interviewing, scheduling. Canvas is one of the first companies to do this, and they're actually now a part of the Jobvite team. But they're using these also to be able to interact with talent. So one of the things that you may find is that there's chatbots. Okay? And so you can text a keyword to a specific organization, and then start to ask you a series of questions. and then it'll take you kind of through the funnel. And depending upon how those responses go, it will then determine whether or not it will kick you out or it'll keep going. But you are going to start seeing more and more of this from a interviewing and job application perspective. So be on the lookout for it. And highly encourage. And the reason why I like to show these things is because with CRM and with text messaging, at the end of the day, there's always a recruiter behind it. They're still seeing these answers. Okay, so that's why I feel it's so important to do those things, because one way or another, if you have a good impression and you ask those questions, there's going to be someone there reading it. Okay? It just doesn't go into this black hole. You know, so don't be afraid to start interacting with those as well. So what role do you play? So as I mentioned, join job talent communities. Okay, sign up for job alerts. Look for that little widget to be able to select job categories, and don't be afraid to select more than job category. Just don't apply for every single position. Attach your resume. Be sure to do it. Anytime you have an opportunity to sign for job alerts, always attach your resume, because keyword searches will populate with that. Now, a lot of organizations, and ours is one of those, where you can join a talent community with as little as just your name, email address, and first and last name. That's really all you need. But what does it really say about you? You know, so if I go in and do a keyword search, yeah, I can find someone that's interested in engineering, but I have no clue who they really are. I can't do a keyword search to find out specifically what types of certifications and background and those types of things. Okay? So anytime you can, always attach your resume with it as well. But definitely join those job alerts and those talent communities. The other thing, and why it's interesting too, is that with some programs and softwares, job alerts will also expire after a period of time, 90 days for example. Okay? So after 90 days, you may notice that you might stop receiving positions from a specific company. Okay? That's why it's important to connect with those recruiters, seek out those individuals on social media, and see if they are continuing to share those positions. Be aware of the funnel. So most companies are going to start here. They want you to be able to see the brand. Okay, we're starting to see culture. Pay attention to those types of things. And then obviously, as you go through that process, it's kind of this cycle where the companies that get it, when you first sign up for job alerts and you go all the way through, you come back, even after you leave an organization, okay? Companies that I want to work for, they're ones that have boomerang campaigns, okay? So even if I leave an organization, okay, there's a lot of reasons why we leave organizations. You can love the organization, but, hey, maybe I want to go be a manager, maybe I want to be a director, okay? But I want to work for those companies that they will also keep in contact with me, because we call them regrettable losses. So make sure that you ask about, hey, what about your boomerang campaigns? You had employees that have come back. Why did they come back? Why did they leave? Those types of things. Because we want to get past that age of the hyperhopper, where if maybe, hey, you are a good employee for 3 years, okay, would you come back and work for this organization as well? Leverage every company's hidden weapon. This is one of the easiest things you can do, okay? Every company, their employees are their #1 marketers for positions, okay? So, when you are connecting with people and you think about the people that you know, okay, employees typically are going to have a much larger brand following. We see 10 times larger brand following for employees than we do the company. That's just because of the multiplier effect. Okay, I'm connected with 10,000 people. Jobvite might only be connected with, have 3,000 followers. I'm one team member, obviously. Okay, so I already have a larger follower of that. And then ask, this is one of my favorite ones, ask if the connections have an internal apply link that they can send you. Now, why this is important is because if I just apply on a career site, how many have applied? Okay, quick question, raise your hands. How many of you have ever applied for a position for a company that you know somebody that works at, and you did so on their career site? Okay. What did you guys do after that? You emailed them right away, right? Okay. All right. Now, did the recruiters know that? The recruiters know that you knew that person. Okay? No, they don't. So what happens is, if they have an internal apply link, okay, or if you see them posting that job typically on social media, and I would ask them, like, hey, I saw that you posted this job on social media. Was that automated, or did you actually physically share that, or was it a generic link? The reason why I ask that question is because internal application links, when you apply for them, they will come through as a source, typically, for most CRMs. They'll have a source of employee referral, and then they'll have the name of the person that you were referred by. Why this is important is because now as a recruiter, I'm typically going to treat that a little bit differently. I know that this is coming from someone who currently works for an organization. I'm gonna reach out. So like our recruiter's really good about this. Every single time he sees one of my applications that come in, he always reaches out to me. He's like, hey Michael, I saw this application come in, tell me about this person. Okay? They know exactly where to go to. Okay? If you go just to the career site, I don't know. They're not gonna see that. Okay? So ask for that internal link if they have it. So that way, not only are you getting that link, ask who the recruiter is. So that way you can connect with them as well. Okay? So you can be on the lookout for it. But always ask for those internal application links. Coming up on time. Another good tip, search industry hashtags. Do any of you guys ever use?
Just real quick, going back to the last slide.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back. So when you're filling out an application, a lot of times it says, who you are you related to anybody who's in the company and things in here. Does that go through, or are you saying that even that doesn't really pop up for a recruiter or for the hiring manager when they're looking at it?
It's a great question. So it's on the application, but a lot of times what they will do at that time is they won't necessarily go through all the questions. They'll go directly to the resume. And they'll start screening through the resume. So they don't always get to that portion of it. But sources is something that they'll typically pay attention to. But every company is a little bit different. I mean, some of them will have that question. But the other reason why I like to always ask for the link as well is that a lot of organizations will have referral programs. So I want to make sure that they are also getting credit for it as well.
So it's like, isn't it true sometimes with internals you're not able to do that as an external? Or is it always going to be accessible to you as long as you use the link?
So that's a good question. So most companies, they will have a link that their employees can share.
Oh.
So it's not like an internally posted position. It's just saying, I can log in internally into our system, and then I can either quickly email you. You're also starting to see a text messaging as well, so where they could actually text you the link to the application, and then they know that it's coming in through referral as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Asking for that internal link can be a little tricky for some organizations because there's a big time security consideration for this. A lot of companies don't like outside people going into their internal systems simply because it's a security risk. So you can, and I've asked for that. And sometimes you'll ask that question and there'll be a little bit of suspicion on the other end there. So you kind of gauge how you're going to ask that question if you're going to ask that question.
And it really just depends upon the software that they're using. So like with Jobvite software, it's every single employee. When they upload their employees, they can log in, they can see, they have an internal board of all the positions,
Part of it is
and then
how
there's a share button.
that organization actually does business as well, so it can be a tricky thing.
Yeah, and you start getting into some of the government contracts and stuff like that. Industry hashtags. So this is something that LinkedIn made a change about 2 years ago where they started, probably a year and a half, where they started using hashtags. And so you don't have to be connected with someone to be able to search it out. So if you were to go in and you were to do a quick search for, hashtag HR tech, hiring, recruiting, hashtag remote, those types of things, you're going to start to see feeds of everyone that is sharing that hashtag. Something we teach all of our talent acquisition teams too is to include those in their job postings. Okay? So it's a real easy way to be able to go out and find those individuals. And typically those are going to be the hiring managers as well. The recruiters are going to be responsible for those. Those are also things that you can do when you are sharing on social media as well to be able to be more noticed. But take some time to kind of think about it. There's this really cool program, Hashtagify. It's a free site, so you can go in and you can type in, kind of just like the general industry. And what it'll do is it'll bring up the top hashtags that are typically used within that industry. So that can also give you a really good idea of what to start searching for as well. And a lot of times it's a combination where you'll see hashtag jobs and then further, going in more HR tech. I use this all the time. Fun stuff. So here's some social media examples too of what I'm talking about. So different companies, you see that they use, sourcing hashtag hiring jobs. This one, they actually use the hashtag Ingram Micro careers. They use, hashtag distribution, technology, and these were all live positions that their team was sharing. Sometimes they'll have a little bit more fun with it, with the new year, new career. Ingram Micro over here as well, hashtag careers. They're just mentioning their company. This is just a general post. And then same thing, hashtag share keywords for IBM as well. So I mean, these are things that companies are using on a regular basis to be able to get noticed. So even if you're not connected with a recruiter, you can still get out there and source for those positions that they are recruiting for right now. Questions? Hopefully that was beneficial for you guys. Like I said, different perspective.
One of the things I've been running into a lot, in fact I ran into it last night, I applied for a position, they wanted to know when I was born.
Interesting.
How do you get around it?
I would probably say that's the company I don't necessarily want to work with.
Well,
Red
yeah.
flag.
I've been running into it more and more and more.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a tough
I
one.
thought it was illegal.
Yeah, you're not supposed,
It
you're not
is.
supposed
It
to
And
ask
if
that.
they ask that, then, and you don't get the position, you could file ageism.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't seem to care.
Yeah.
It's either when you were born or when did you graduate from high school.
Yeah. Yeah, the when did you graduate question, that's always a touchy one. That to me, that's going back to what I'm looking for in companies. That's just, when they start asking those questions, that's not someone that I want to work with. I want it to be more focused around the physical position more than anything. So, huge red flag for me in that scenario. Any other questions? Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for having me come. Hopefully you guys took at least one or two, nuggets that will help you guys out, and I'll be able to stick around if you guys have any other additional questions as well. I'll talk about some other things I've noticed in companies and how to get noticed. Thank you.
All right, so having more, thankfully Stephen got his camera in here so we could have the YouTube uplink here soon. So when we'll get that in. So if anybody knows why iPhones don't always work, let me know. If you guys are tech folks, it's really starting to get upset. It went out again like twice. I was like, I'd give up. So with that said, I've been slacking a little bit. I take ownership of that, getting out some of the jobs I've been working on. For some reason, there's been a lull in the tech industry right now. It was super hot. It was like a month and a half of, I couldn't keep up. Now it's like, what happened from what I've been getting told, just what, hearsay from hiring managers, from other people, is that there is like the end of the fiscal year for some companies right now. And so that right now is putting a delay. So that's what I'm hearing through hiring managers, through some of the clients. I know that Nike's one, and there's a few other large companies that this is the end, so it's not a traditional fiscal year. And so right now it's coming on where some of these positions, I'm also seeing a lot of positions in the tech industry right now being put on hold. So they've been open for quite a while, and then all of a sudden they're not on hold. There's one thing I wanted to touch on with all of that, and I keep getting lots and lots of questions about it. So going to kind of the agency world of recruiting and agency versus corporate. So the question that has been coming up in the last couple of weeks is, hey, I am interested, and I tell everybody, hey, reach out to me, send me a job number if you see it on the website, and I've worked with many of you, and usually that works. I look it up, get the information, hey, yeah, let's go for it. Oh no, maybe this isn't the right one. With that said, on our website, and this is how it works with the majority of industries, the job is actually open, right? So through Nike, through whoever, Nike's top of mind right now. And as an agency, we have so many spots that we can send over to the company. So we're allotted so many candidates to send in. So every agency, you've got to figure there's probably 20, 25 agencies in Portland. So we all get allotted, not all, but there's some job boards that we're allowed to post on. They send us certain positions where we are most likely to fill for them, right? So each position, typically, because we've been working with Nike for 30 plus years, we actually get the most out of almost anyone. Us, there's a couple others, but generally we have anywhere from 3 to 7 job spots that we're able to fill within that certain position at Nike. So with that said, what we do is once we hit our quota, or not quota, but once we hit our max spots, the job is still open. So technically, yes, the job is open within their website, within Nike, and contractors are able to do things. But it means that we have hit our allotted number to send candidates over to that position. And so it's a confusing thing in the agency world where I'll have a candidate, again, come over. It's not that that you're not qualified. It's not that the job isn't open. It's that I literally cannot, and just not myself. This is agency-wide. So regardless of what recruiter, what agency you're working with, if you're working with me, great. That's awesome. If you're not, and you're going to someone else, and you hear, hey, yeah, it's open, but I can't send you over. A lot of times people and candidates get confused of why they can't send over. It's because we're allotted so much. Because if you take three spots per agency, there's 20 agencies. You can, do the math. It's a lot for Nike to go through. And then that's not even some of the outside externals that are coming in without the agencies. So again, one spot, you could have up to 100 people, and it's tough out there. So just wanted to kind of go over that tidbit, something that I've been hearing the last couple of weeks since the last meeting. So I wanted to make sure that I addressed that. With that said, the next meetup that we have, we're going to have Rainey come in for our 2R and talk about her stuff. She's been a super active member pretty much since we started. She comes all the time, great resource, so she'll be speaking, giving her presentation in a couple weeks. Take a look, like I said, take a look at some of the emails that I'm going to be sending through here soon. We have 3 awesome companies that are going to be coming in. Startups, some not, but we're going to be booked through August. So if you have any questions, let us know. And Michael's going to be here for just a quick question. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the reasons why things are getting a little dry right now is because Intel has been quietly laying people off since about April 2nd.
Yeah, there's a few companies that are doing that right now. So there's some things going on, but as we all know, it will pick up. It's been hot and it'll pick back up. So with that said, thanks for coming, and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.